So when you are creating an equipment list for your project, there are two basic ways that you can do it. One of them is start with your diagrams and see what you end up using, and then make a list from that. And the other is to make the list first. Maybe that's gear you own, maybe that's just common gear packages that you use, but build the diagrams based on the list. And with these connected lists, we can do either one. So the first thing we're going to look at here in this list is we have list dates. These are more for organization sort of notation purposes right now, but you can assign these dates or just use the project dates, which is the default. And then you're going to decide which diagrams this is connected with. Right now, this list is linked with both diagrams that are with it in the project, and it will be linked with any new diagrams that are created in that project. And you can see that's just what's in there right now. And what you can see is that we are auto-updating from diagrams. It means that whatever's in those diagrams is automatically going to show up on this list, even if you change it, etc. And the way it's going to count them, how many are used, is maximum per diagram. So that says I'm going to build these diagrams one at a time. So all I need, the most used, is the most that are used in the diagram at one time. So you can see that's what these are. And let's take a quick look at these diagrams to see what we're working with. Very simple stuff just to prove the point. 3 storms, a couple 18Ks, a couple 4Ks. Great. In diagram 2, we have the same type of stuff, different quantities, and then a couple other things here. I've also set up ACAM and BCAM, which you can see here. These are created when the project is created. And then for ACAM, just to prove a point, I've set up a cam-specific zoom lens here. And then there are the regular project lenses. So now let's go take a look at that list again. So we can see that it is counting the maximum 3 storms, basically the maximums of what we've used on both. We have our cam-specific lens, we have our project lenses. Simple so far, because we're just proving the point. If we switch this maximum per diagram over to sum of all diagrams, which says I'm going to build these all at the same time, so give me enough to do that, you can see that quantity changes. We'll switch back to maximum there. Now we have this field here, and when we open one of these, you can see we can change that. So these are actually the number of extra fixtures that we want, or spares. So we can go change that, say, okay, I want a spare of that, I want 2 spares of that, and it's going to give you these total numbers over here. Keystrokes are also really helpful here. I'm using up and down to move these up and down. I can't sort them because this is an auto-updated list, but we'll look at the manual lists in a second. And if I do command left and right, you can see I can change that number of spares. Okay. The last thing that we're going to look at here is sharing. You can always share as a PDF. It's going to generate that. You can switch to portrait if you'd like, and then save that to wherever. You can also just copy it as text the way that you could before. Now, let's create a new list. Because there's already an auto-update list here, it's going to create this one as non-auto-updating. So, and this is going to be connected to both diagrams as well, and we're just going to create a couple of new items here. So you can see that it's actually searching, and it's going to search all of our libraries that it would search from the diagram add item toolbar. So let's say a vortex. So we have list items here. That means that these are items that already exist on lists in my account that I've already used on lists. But you can also just look directly in the libraries and find everything that you'd be able to find anyway. So let's go ahead and add a vortex 8 here. You see I haven't used any yet because I'm just building this list fresh. I'll do command return, make a new item here. Let's call this how about an X22? I've used a list item there. Great. So now I have a couple items on this second list, and we'll call this manual list. And since that's connected to these diagrams, when I open it up, you see we have this new lists sidebar, and this is when things get really interesting. Now I have auto list selected right now, and you can see that it has everything there that's on the list. And the great thing about having stuff here is that now this can act just like the add item toolbar. Now I'd kind of have my own little library that I've made, my equipment list for this project. And I can also look at my manual list here, and you see I have my new items that I've added. So now I can just drag these on. I have my new items ready to go. I can also edit from here which lists this diagram is linked to. So this is the inverse of the relationship we were editing when we were looking at lists. And if we want to make detailed changes to this list that's selected, I actually do have access to the full sidebar here. Now, one thing I can do is I can add a new item. Let's just call it new item. You see, it didn't actually link to anything there, and it has this little assigned diagram item, this little question mark. So that means this can still be linked to something, and there are a couple ways to do that. So one of them is I could go to the add item, and I could find something here that would represent what I'm kind of thinking that list item would be. So you can use our images there. Let's call it an extra large Fresnel. And what I could do is from lists, I can just drag and assign it to this. So it's that simple. If you want to kind of create new items that represent new things, just create them here. You can also do it directly from the list. So if I wanted to just say, extra large Fresnel, just select it there, and now I have my new item, and I can just drag it on there like that. So you see lists are now very smart, very adaptable. You can put them in folders, you can connect them to different diagrams, you can do all sorts of useful things when putting these together. It's going to help you keep track of all that gear that you need, and even with edit list, the great thing is you can make sure that you're not going over what you said you were going to. So you see we have one here, automatically created with one. Let's give ourselves a little break. So now we've used one of two, but if I start duplicating these, like let's say I add another one here, now I've used 2 of 2. I want another one over here. Now I've used 3. It's going to give me that little warning color, and I could go into the list and I could select it and I could update it here, and then it would be fine. But we do give you just a little plus button here, so you can update that if you need to, just if you're over. So lists are super useful now. Take a look at them. Let us know what you think.